Wholeness and harmonious vibrations. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'm Divine Lady Nin Herzog, and I'm so happy that you're here. Today, I want to talk about ancestors, our ancestors, honoring, venerating our ancestors, and why it's such an awesome thing to do. So, I am a spiritual person, and I came into this spiritual practice maybe, I guess I came into this spiritual practice maybe about 5 years ago. Actually, practicing spirituality 5 years ago. I was raised as a Christian, as you know, a lot of people are, and I was raised in a Holiness Church. So that's a lot of shouting, a lot of music, a lot of people getting happy, as they say. And that's the kind of church I was raised in. Now, some people may think that that's kind of crazy. Like, what's wrong with these people? If you come from a Christian background that is not that way, such as I think Baptist or Pentecost, I don't think they actually get into the music and the shouting of that nature. So they may think that's crazy, but I bring that up to say that honoring my ancestors isn't something that I was taught. The only thing that I can remember that my family did for any person in our family that passed was to go to the grave on Memorial Day and replace the flowers. And we used to always beg my mom, can we go? Can we go? Because my mom's dad, my grandfather, Charlie, he passed and he was in the military. And every Memorial Day, my mom, my grandma, and my uncle will always go to the funeral, to the graveyard, to the gravesite, and they would place flowers and that kind of thing. Well, we never could get to go. My mother would never let us go. She was like, no, it's okay, you don't have to go. And that would be that, which was kind of okay with us too, because Memorial Day is summertime here where I live. So we were just like, okay, well, whatever, we can just keep playing. So we never did go to the gravesite with my mom. So that was something that did not carry on in my family. Even now with my children, which are adults now, I never took them to the gravesite because that wasn't a practice that I was a part of. And I think that was for this reason. My mom and my father have transitioned. And the day that my mom transitioned, my father spoke to me, of which my father had transitioned maybe 5 years before my mom. So we were at the hospital and we were around her bed, and my sister was praying because my sister is Christian. My family's Christian, and my sister is practicing. And she was praying and we were all holding hands, and we were getting in the moment or whatever, waiting for my mother to take her last breaths because we had decided to go ahead and take her off the respirator. And at the moment that my mom took her last breaths, my father telepathically spoke to me. He was there in the room with us, and I did not know it until he said. He spoke directly to me, and he said, "Don't worry, I have her now." And I knew it was my dad because I know my dad. I know my dad's voice. I felt his presence at that point. And at that very moment, the whole idea of death, it just changed for me. I now don't, even though that was years ago, because my mom passed in 2007, so that was probably like 11 years ago, I still do not look at death the same. I know that death is just a transition. It's just a just a transition. It's just moving on to the next assignment. And I got that confirmation. My father gave that to me by him speaking directly to me, and I wasn't shooken by his presence there. It was a loving, caring presence, and I knew that there is life after death. So this honoring the ancestors and venerating our ancestors is really something new to me and for my family. My siblings, they know that I have a altar, an ancestor altar. My children know that I have an ancestor altar, and my grandchildren know that I have an ancestor altar. Uh, and the reason for that, because everybody loved my mom and everybody loved my dad, and whenever their birthdays come and Father's Day and Mother's Day, everybody, they really want to celebrate, but there's also this sadness there. And by venerating and honoring your ancestors, this is a way that you don't have to feel like they're not with you, because they're always with us. And you don't have to feel alone. You don't have to feel sad. You can speak to them whenever you want, because they're right there. They're right there waiting for you. They're right on the other side. They're here to help us. You can communicate with them regularly, have regular conversations just like you would normally if they were here, and maybe you wanted to get advice from your mom or your dad or your grandma or your uncle or aunt or whoever. When I'm doing my daily spiritual practice, I do honor my enlightened ancestors by speaking directly to them. And I have their pictures on my altar, and I grabbed them off the altar because I'm going to be doing another altar. I'm actually going to be bringing the ancestor altar, out of the meditation room and bringing it up front to the living area, so that they can be a part of the daily happenings in the home, and they're not locked somewhere away in the back room. So I'll actually be bringing them out and creating a space for them in the living area. So what can we do to venerate and honor our ancestors? Well, we can I'm going to actually make a video of how to set up your ancestor altar. But I'll just show you really quick. This is a picture of my mom. Can you see her? That is my mom. And this lady birthed 10 children. And as I said, I think I said in this video that she actually had sclerosis of the liver because she had a miscarriage and needed a transplant. And that was the time before they actually tested the blood and she contracted hepatitis. So that's my mom. That's Miss Dot. And I also have a picture of my dad. This is my dad. Let's see if we can. Okay. This is my dad. And as you can see, he's out in the ocean. And he's on a raft. And I remember my dad used to jump in the ocean. And he used to swim for miles. And then he would come back. And he would be gone for like 30 minutes or so. And the irony of it is that my father actually drowned in this same body of water that you're looking at right here. And as my spirituality has grown, I understand what actually happened. I have been spoken to, called to by Mother Yemaya, the mother of the oceans, and I actually have a better understanding of my father's love for the water and what we think was his untimely death, but he was actually called home by the Divine Mother herself, and I think it's an awesome and amazing thing. And as you begin to understand the cycle of life and spirituality, how all these things work together for the good of the whole, then there's no room for you to be sad, especially when you know they're right on the other side of the veil and you can communicate with them at all times. What are some other things that we can do to communicate with our ancestors and venerate them, honor them, and show them that we love them? Well, we can put things on our altar that they like my father and my mom smoked cigarettes. My mom, she actually stopped smoking cigarettes towards the end because she was on the list for a transplant, and those are things that they don't look very favorable when you're looking to get an organ. So she stopped smoking, and my father, he smoked too. So that is something that I would put on the ancestor altar for them, because my dad and my mom smoked. I probably wouldn't put it up there for her, but I would put it up there for him. He smoked Newports, and I'd put them on the altar. My father also, he drank. He was a drinker, and he liked, some wine, and I would put that on the altar. My mother loved Pepsi. She loved Pepsi and Lay's potato chips, and there's some other things that she liked, like Circus peanuts, and those are things that I would put on the altar as well. So some daily things, those are things that would stay on the altar. You would always also put like some kind of green plant that would stay green on the altar, something that shows life, like an evergreen, something life-giving. You would put that on your ancestor altar. And then you can put water and food every day. Just to let them know that you're thinking about them, and just not a whole plate now. You just give them a little something, for the altar, fresh water, and a small representation of a meal daily. And there's another thing that you can do also to venerate your ancestors, and that can help them, because what we don't realize is that they need help too. There are things on the other side of the veil, like if your ancestors weren't enlightened, they may need help to be lifted up so that they can get to that heavenly place. They may still have some karmic debt that needs to be paid off. And a way that we can help them with the karmic debt, it's called ancestor money. And here's an example of ancestor money. Okay, this is an example of ancestor money. That's how it looks on the front, and this is how it looks on the back. And if you where I got my ancestor money, and it's actually a whole pack. I can't remember how much it cost, but if you have like an international market or an Asian market in your area, that is someplace that you may be able to go to get ancestor money. Because see, in the States, a lot of people don't do things like that, like honor their ancestors. But overseas in the old countries, this is something that they do all the time, because they know just because they've transitioned and they're on the other side of the veil doesn't mean they don't need help. And if they have karmic debt, this ancestor money can help with that karmic debt. So that's a way that we can also help our ancestors. And you don't have to burn a whole stack. Just when I say my prayers and when I do my daily spiritual practice and I honor my ancestors, I have a little bell and everything that I ring that's specifically for my ancestors, my enlightened ancestors. And then I call out my parents' names and other enlightened ancestors. And then I burn the money. And it just burns. Just make sure that it burns all the way down so that they can reap the benefits of this ancestor money. So that's my video on the ancestors. I hope this video was very helpful for you. Please make sure you like and subscribe to my channel, and share this video with your friends and family so that they can know it's okay to create altars and it's okay to honor our ancestors. I mean, they did give us life. If it wasn't for the blood running through our veins, which is also their blood, there would not be any us. So honoring the ancestors is a good thing. It's no need to feel ashamed, sad, or that you have to hide your honoring of the ancestors. I'm pretty sure that your ancestors would greatly appreciate it. I just want to give a shout out to my ancestors. Mary Lee Stokes, I love you with my whole soul. Lawrence Alden Elliott, I love you with my whole soul. And I'm so grateful to you for giving me life. I'm Divine Lady Ninhursag, your sister of a distant moon. Thanks for stopping by.